What's going on, everybody? I hope you are having a fantastic day. We are back for another Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green Best Team video. We've done a Best Team for Charizard, and we've done a Best Team for Venusaur. Today, we get to build a team around the remaining starter and my own personal favorite of the three, Blastoise. As always, we will be restricting this team to exclude legendary Pokemon. I also decided not to use any version exclusives, so you can build this team on either version of the game. That being said, if you'd like to use legendaries in your own game, please do. In fact, if you want to change anything I suggest, I encourage you to do so. This video just highlights a specific team that worked extraordinarily well for me. However, I will suggest alternatives throughout the video if you would prefer to use something different. Pokemon Fire Red was actually the first game of the series that I had personally played, and Squirtle was my starter of choice in my original playthrough. For this video, I had actually decided to replay Pokemon Fire Red using this new optimized team, and I was blown away at just how great this team performed and how fun these Pokemon were to use in a Kanto playthrough. So obviously, this wouldn't be much of a Blastoise team if I didn't choose Squirtle as my starter. Since starter Pokemon are static encounters, I decided to soft reset my game until I received a Squirtle with a nature that I liked. For this playthrough, I decided to go with the Modest nature. A Modest nature will increase the special attack stat and reduce the physical attack stat, which is perfect for Squirtle's water moves. This will not only help us against Brock's water-weak Pokemon in the early game, but will also help power up the entire final moveset that has been chosen for Blastoise. The final moveset chosen includes Surf, Ice Beam, Bite, and Rain Dance. Surf will be the primary attacking move used by Blastoise. This is obtainable via HM obtained in the Fuchsia City Safari Zone. Before this move is accessible, I recommend teaching Water Pulse, which is obtained as a TM after defeating Misty. Ice Beam is next, and this move is a little trickier to obtain. This can be purchased at the Celadon Game Corner using the coins earned from playing the slot machines. There will be a few more TMs obtained this way to complete this team, so I'd like to give a couple of quick tips. First, you'll need the coin case in order to participate at the game corner. The case can be obtained from this NPC in Celadon City. You can actually get some coins for free by talking to the NPCs at the machines and by finding them as hidden items throughout the building. To obtain additional coins, you can buy them at the counter for cash, or you can test your luck at the slot machines. Apparently the machines have different odds of hitting a jackpot, and this one here is apparently the most lucky. Grinding the game corner coins is a bit of a hassle, but Ice Beam provides insane coverage for Blastoise, or any water type for that matter. Ice Beam hits grass types super effectively that water types would normally be weak to, and also it hits dragon types super effectively that would resist a water move. This is exceptionally useful in Kanto because it enables Blastoise to do a ton of damage in important battles it otherwise wouldn't do well in, such as against Elite Four Lance's dragon Pokemon. The next move is Bite. This is learned while you're still a War Turtle at level 19. Some of you may be thinking, why would I put a physical move on Blastoise? And the answer is simple. In Generation 3 and prior, a move is determined to be physical or special based on the move's type. You can actually see in game whether a move is physical or special by checking these symbols. In Gen 3, the Dark type is always special, regardless of the move. Bite provides even more coverage to Blastoise and is especially noteworthy against Misty's Psychic type Starmie in the second gym battle, and can be used mid and even late game against opponents such as Sabrina's team and Lorelei's Slowbro and Jinx. Last but not least, we have to include the move Rain Dance. This can be taught as a TM or as a level up move when Blastoise reaches level 42. Personally, I taught this move via TM because I wanted to have it before my battle with Blaine in the 7th gym. This strategy was so good for Blaine, in fact, that Blastoise was actually able to sweep the entire gym on its own. The reason being is that Rain will increase the power of all water type moves by 50%, as well as decrease the power of all fire moves by 50% while active. This supercharged our surf attacks while reducing the damage output by Blaine significantly. Keep in mind too that this boost can pair with Blastoise's ability Torrent. Torrent provides an additional 50% boost to water moves when Blastoise is under 1/3 HP. Rain and Torrent together will effectively double the power of Surf, making Blastoise a huge threat when in a pinch. Rain Dance will also benefit some of the other team members we will acquire later in our Kanto journey. It feels odd to suggest an alternative to a starter Pokemon, but if I were to replace Blastoise with anything, I'd suggest Vaporeon or Lapras. The next member of our team is the dedicated Fly HM user. For this role, I chose to use Fearow. Fearow can be obtained on Route 3 immediately after defeating Brock as a Spearow. The best natures to seek out would be Adamant or Jolly. Fearow was chosen over Kanto's other dual normal flying type Pokemon for a few very specific reasons. The number one reason is that we'd like to add a grass resistance to the team very early to cover Squirtle's weakness. Therefore, waiting for a Dodrio didn't feel like a great option. Dodrio does however do Fearow's job a bit better because of its higher base attack and speed stats. Personally, I didn't think the stat difference was large enough to warrant capturing and leveling a new Pokemon to replace my Fearow, but this is totally up to you. It's your own Pokemon team and you could do whatever you find more enjoyable. The other obvious alternative to Fearow is Pidgeot. This Pokemon has an edge over Fearow and that's available a little bit sooner on Route 1. However, Fearow outclasses Pidgeot in almost every other way. The biggest reason to use Fearow over Pidgeot is that Fearow has a much better move pool. This is largely because Fearow can learn Drill Peck at level 40, which is the single best single-turn flying move in the game. Before you can access Drill Peck, I'd recommend teaching Aerial Ace via TM or by delaying Spearow's evolution to learn it at level 25. Speaking of evolving Spearow, another reason to use Fearow over Pidgeot is that the Spearow line is fully evolved by level 20, whereas the Pidgey line isn't fully evolved until you hit level 36, making Fearow much more effective in the early game. Fearow's final moveset will consist of Drill Peck, Fly for convenience, Return, and Steel Wing. Return is Fearow's most powerful normal-type stab move, and this move's power actually scales with the game's friendship mechanic, capping at 102 base power at maximum friendship. Since you will obtain Spearow so early in the game, you should easily be at the friendship cap well before this TM becomes available. Steel Wing is another TM move chosen for Fearow to deal super effective damage to rock types that otherwise greatly threaten this Pokemon. Additionally, Steel Wing has a 10% chance to increase defense one stage as a nice bonus. Although this move is pretty cool, you probably won't find yourself using it much because of the team's other strong options to take out rock type Pokemon. A relatively easy to get held item for Fearow is the Sharpbeak. This can be obtained by using Thief against opposing Fearow on Route 23 after defeating Koga. The Fearow on this route have a 5% chance of holding this item with the effect of boosting the power of flying moves by 20%. Although Fearow is mainly here as our flyer, this Pokemon hits hard and fast and has great potential in many important battles such as Erica's Gym. This Pokemon is also fantastic against your rival's Bulbasaur line throughout the game. Aerodactyl is also a notable alternative as a flyer, but this Pokemon won't be available until you reach Cinnabar Island late in the game. Plus the Rock Slide Tutor move will be used on the next team member. One big hurdle for any Blastoise team is the third Kanto gym. Lieutenant Surge has a team of all electric type Pokemon which are super effective against both our Blastoise and our Fearow. The best way to deal with this weakness is to add a ground Pokemon, and one of the best in the game is available on Route 3 alongside Spearow. The next addition to the team is Nidoking. Nidoking specifically evolves from the male Nidoran, whereas its counterpart, the female Nidoran, evolves into Nidoqueen. If you are playing Fire Red version, you will have a much higher chance of encountering the male Nidoran than those playing Leaf Green version. In Fire Red, you have a 14% chance to encounter a male Nidoran and a 1% chance of encountering a female. In Leaf Green, this is flipped, with a 14% chance of encountering the female and only a 1% chance of encountering the male. For those playing Leaf Green, it will likely take some time to find the male Nidoran, but it is much more optimal than Nidoqueen, and definitely worth the wait. Nidoking is much more potent as a sweeper, while Nidoqueen takes advantage of some additional bulk in exchange for power. Nidoqueen is definitely a viable alternative, but I'd highly recommend sticking it out for Nidoking to truly optimize this team. Aside from being completely immune to electric moves, Nidoking is awesome because you can have this Pokemon fully evolved before you even reach the second gym, which is actually crazy for a Pokemon with such a high base stat total. Nidoran evolves into Nidorino at level 16, and you can use the Moonstone found in Mount Moon to immediately evolve it again into a Nidoking. This Pokemon even learns a powerful normal move, Thrash, at level 22, with a base power of 120. This move does, however, have the downside of locking you in and causing confusion, similar to the dragon move Outrage. The final moveset chosen for this Pokemon is Earthquake, Rock Slide, Mega Horn, and Thrash. Although Nidoking is also a Poison-type Pokemon, it doesn't learn any good Poison moves until the game has already been completed. It does have access to Sludge Bomb via TM, but this move isn't available until well after defeating the Elite Four. Although this Pokemon has access to coverage and special moves like Ice Beam and Thunderbolt, I'd much rather take advantage of Nidoking's stronger physical stats and save those TMs for more specially oriented Pokemon later in the team builder. Similar to Fearow, I'd opt for an Adamant or Jolly nature if you care to seek one out. Earthquake is obtained from defeating the 8th gym and is easily one of the best, if not the best, move in the game. Nidoking makes great use of it with its same type attack bonus. To defeat Surge, I recommend teaching Nidoking the Dig TM, and keeping it until Nidoking's moveset can replace it with Earthquake. Dig is obtained after defeating the Rocket Grunt in Cerulean City. Rock Slide is taught by a move tutor in Rock Tunnel. Rock Slide was selected to hit Flying-type Pokemon who are immune to Earthquake super effectively. Rock Tomb can be used before Rock Tunnel via the TM given by Brock. Mega Horn is to provide coverage for Nidoking's Psychic weakness. However, you don't actually learn this until level 43, which is pretty late in the game. During my playthrough, I had Double Kick in this slot, and dealt with Psychic Pokemon by using other members of the team. If you don't want to use Nidoking or Nidoqueen for any reason, some alternative ground types for Surge are Dugtrio or Golem. I would, however, still recommend the Nidoking. Nidoking's dual poison typing allows it to take grass-type hits much better than its quad-affected alternatives. This diversifies our team to have less common weaknesses among our members. It is also pretty sweet to be immune to poison status for battles such as Koga. Nidoking is super strong and can easily solo Lieutenant Surge, which would otherwise be a very, very difficult battle for our team. The next team member is an absolute fan favorite, and for good reason. This Pokemon surprised me with how strong it was on this team and how well it synergizes with the other members. This Pokemon, quite possibly the MVP of the run, is Gengar. If you don't have access to trade evolutions, Gengar's pre-evolution is very good as well. Haunter actually has a respectable 115 special attack and 95 speed stat, which is actually higher than most fully evolved Pokemon. This Pokemon is captured at the Pokemon Tower in Lavender Town as a Ghastly. Gengar provides some much needed speed to an otherwise somewhat slow team, and has an insane 130 special attack stat. Not only is this Pokemon incredibly strong, it also has many immunities, being this game's only Ghost type. Gengar is immune to normal moves, fighting moves, and ground moves because of its ability, Levitate. This enables Gengar to switch in freely on moves that threaten the other members of the team and hit very hard in return. Despite Gengar's Ghost and Poison dual typing, we will not actually be using any Ghost or Poison moves. This is because both Ghost and Poison are physical types, and Gengar has a measly 65 base attack stat. Despite this, Gengar has access to great coverage moves, and will have a final moveset of Psychic, Giga Drain, Thunderbolt, and Hypnosis. Psychic can be obtained via TM from the Psychic House in Saffron City immediately after capturing Ghastly, and will be Gengar's primary attacking move. To further increase the power, you can use Thief on Abras just north of Celadon City to obtain the Twisted Spoon held item. Similar to the Sharp Beak, there is a 5% chance Abra will be holding this item, and it boosts the power of Psychic moves by 20%. Giga Drain is learned by TM given by Erica, the Grass Gym Leader. Ghastly is actually immediately useful into Erica's gym with its Psychic move, since most of Erica's Pokemon are dual Poison types. The combo of Giga Drain and Psychic makes Gengar very powerful in the common Team Rocket Pokemon such as Golbat, Arbok, and Rhyhorn. Most of the ground types that we will switch into with Levitate are also Rock type, meaning they are quad weak to Gengar's Giga Drain and will likely be knocked out with one hit. Thunderbolt is obtained at the Game Corner and is here for additional coverage into threats such as flying types who carry normal moves we can switch into as a Ghost type. Hypnosis is strong status utility. Although it is low accuracy, Sleep is a very powerful status condition and has the added benefit of making it easier to catch wild Pokemon. Gengar is excellent into many important battles such as Erica, Koga, especially his self-destruct Coughings. Gengar makes a joke out of Bruno, and is great into Agatha's Ghost Team because they are all Poison types. It is pretty nice for Venusaur too. I'd recommend a timid or modest nature on this Pokemon. If you don't want to use Gengar or Haunter, a fun alternative that doesn't require trade evolution is Mr. Mime. Mr. Mime's stats actually aren't as good as even Haunter's, but it does have the advantage of having Psychic as a stat move, and it can learn Calm Mind to boost its stats. Plus, as a Pokemon acquired through an in-game trade, Mr. Mime will gain bonus experience points and level up faster. All around though, I'd still recommend Gengar or Haunter, as the immunities they provide are very valuable to the core of this team. Shortly after obtaining Gengar from Pokemon Tower, we obtained the Poké Flute and gained the ability to awaken the next member of the team, Snorlax. This probably doesn't come as a surprise, as Snorlax was included in both my best Charizard and Venusaur team as well, but this is for a very good reason. Snorlax is easily the best normal type Pokemon in the game and a guaranteed encounter. It is also only weak to fighting, which is an immunity of Gengar's. I would recommend saving the game before you use the Poké Flute on Snorlax, because the 2 sleeping Snorlaxes will not respawn. If you accidentally KO them, you won't have another opportunity to capture a Snorlax. Snorlax is no doubt an amazing Pokemon and actually benefits from the physical special split. This is because it has access to physical Shadow Ball. This allows Snorlax to hit Ghost and Psychic types super effectively. This is notable because it enables Snorlax to nearly solo Sabrina's Psychic Gym shortly after obtaining this Pokemon. Unfortunately, Shadow Ball is another Game Corner TM. However, Shadow Ball is, in my opinion, the most important TM to pick up from this counter. Along with Sabrina, Shadow Ball allows Snorlax to destroy many Elite Four threats, including the majority of Agatha's team and the champion Alakazam. Snorlax isn't just great for Shadow Ball though. Snorlax is super bulky and extremely hard to KO. I prefer to run a Careful Nature on Snorlax to further its bulk. Careful Nature will increase special defense, which is really good since we will be switching into many Psychic types. A Sassy Nature is also good, but will lower your speed. Snorlax's longevity can easily be extended further. It has access to the recovery move Rest, which will bring you back to full health but put you to sleep for a few turns. This works well in tandem with the item Leftovers. Coincidentally, this item can be picked up by using the item finder in the locations Snorlax was originally napping in, so you can get it as soon as you catch your Snorlax. Leftovers restores 1/16 of your total HP at the end of each turn. I highly recommend picking up both Leftovers and giving the other to Blastoise to help it set up rain a bit easier. The final moveset for Snorlax is Body Slam, learned at level 33, Shadow Ball, Brick Break, and Rest. Body Slam is Snorlax's primary stab move. This move is awesome because it has a high 85 base power with a 30% chance to paralyze the target. Paralyzing targets helps to burn rest turns and makes for some nice Leftovers recovery. Brick Break is a TM move which can be picked up on the SSN or purchased at the Celadon department store. This move is to hit Steel and Rock types that resist Body Slam. Snorlax has access to 2 great abilities in Thick Fat and Immunity. Thick Fat provides 50% resistance to Fire and Ice moves, while Immunity prevents Snorlax from being poisoned. Between the two, Thick Fat is by far the better option. Thick Fat helps with Snorlax's bulk and makes the Pokemon much more viable into Lorelei. Additionally, Snorlax can simply cure its poisoning by using Rest, so Immunity isn't very necessary. Plus, by the time we finish the team, 3 members other than Snorlax will be poison immune, including our next addition. A good alternative to Snorlax is Kangaskhan. Kangaskhan is available in the Safari Zone and can learn Physical Shadow Ball similarly to Snorlax. This is a great choice if you accidentally KO the Snorlaxes or want to try something a little more unconventional. Tauros is a nice option too, but unfortunately Tauros does not learn Shadow Ball. Magneton is the final member of the team, and it absolutely shocked me how good this thing was. The main reason for adding this Pokemon was to help with bulky water Pokemon that Blastoise was having a hard time knocking out. This monster of a Pokemon filled this role above and beyond my expectations. Not only does Magneton help Blastoise with water types, Blastoise helps Magneton in return by setting up rain. Magneton performs especially well in the rain because rain makes Magneton's thunder attacks 100% accurate and effectively eliminates Magneton's fire weakness. Magneton's only other weaknesses are ground and fighting, both of which are immunities of Gengar's, creating even more synergy for this mon. 120 base power Thunders, coming off of Magneton's base 120 special attack stat, KOs nearly everything in one hit. If this wasn't crazy enough, the Magnet held item can be thieved from other Magnetons for a 20% boost in power. Like the other held items, the Magnet has a 5% chance of being possessed on a Magneton. This item can be a little tricky because Magneton has such a low encounter rate, but you can almost guarantee Magneton encounters using a specific repel manipulation technique. I plan on putting a video out for that later this week, and will link it in the description of this video below when it is uploaded. The final moveset Magneton will have is Thunder, which is found as a TM in the power plant, where you catch Magneton as a Magnemite, Thunderbolt, Tri-Attack at level 44, and Thunder Wave. If you don't know where the power plant is, you can get there by surfing near the rock tunnel entrance. Thunderbolt is yet another game corner purchase. This will be your best option if you want accuracy outside of rain. Spark isn't a terrible alternative option via level up, but Thunderbolt is the far superior option. Tri-Attack is a physical move, but Magneton doesn't really get anything else. Despite this, Tri-Attack is a pretty solid attack with a 20% chance to either burn, paralyze, or freeze your opponent, which is pretty fun. Lastly, Thunder Wave is included for utility and speed control. Magneton can use Thunder Wave to outspeed some Pokemon it otherwise wouldn't, although Magneton is actually surprisingly fast for how bulky it is. Magneton is the only Steel-type Pokemon in the game, and the Steel typing is very broken in Generation 3. This Pokemon has 11 type resistances and 1 immunity to poison. This is crazy considering there are only 17 types in Generation 3. This is so strong that in later generations, Steel was nerfed to no longer resist Dark or Ghost. Another change was made in later generations to Magneton's ability Sturdy. In Gen 3, Sturdy only protects from one-hit KO moves such as Fissure, whereas in later games, you survive on 1 HP to any hit from full health. Because of this, it doesn't really matter if you have Sturdy or Magnet Pull. Magnet Pull traps Steel types, but the only other Steel type in this game is Other Magneton, which you'd probably just swap into Nidoking for. Magneton is useful for many important battles, but is especially notable against Lorelei. Magneton also does a great job against many of Lance's Pokemon and the Champion's Flying-type Pokemon. I'd recommend a modest or timid nature for Magneton. I'd never used a Magneton before using this team, but now I'd highly recommend it to anyone to add to their Kanto team. This Pokemon really pulls the whole team together, almost like a magnet. If for whatever reason you are attracted to Magneton, I'd suggest Jolteon or Raichu as alternatives, although believe it or not, Magneton actually has the highest special attack of all three. To recap, the final team consists of Blastoise, Fearow, Nidoking, Gengar, Snorlax, and Magneton. Please let me know in the comments what you think of this team, if you use this team, or even if you have some improvements. Also, if you want to flex your own best team in the comments, please feel welcome to do that as well. I eventually plan on making a video rating teams suggested by my viewers. Please do refrain from using legendaries for that though, as I will not rate teams that include legendary Pokemon. With all that out of the way, thank you all for watching, liking, and commenting, and have yourselves a fantastic day.